Hi, it's Nick Aster. I'm at the Global Reporting Initiative 2013 conference here in Amsterdam. I'm here with Bruno Sarda. He is the Director of Sustainability Operations for Dell. And Bruno, can you tell us a little bit about what that means at Dell, at your job?
Sure. So thanks for having me. The focus of my job really is around the kind of the business end of sustainability. So it's a lot of the information management, reporting, governance, and then working with the business on better integrating sustainability into our core business.
Okay. Now, given that we're here at the Global Reporting Initiative conference, I assume that a lot of what you do has to do with reporting on all of this stuff. How has reporting been important to Dell?
Well, sustainability itself is a process, and reporting is a great enabler of that process. It invites a lot of really healthy discussions internally, externally with stakeholders, with customers, with suppliers. So just the process of reporting, makes you go through both data collection, data analysis, really, asking yourself questions like, in the management approaches, what is material to us? Why is it material? What makes it material? What are the specific impacts we either want to reduce or potentially amplify? What are we doing about it? Do we have policies? Do we have strategies? Do we have commitments? Do we have goals? And then from there, how do you measure the effectiveness of your method? So just going through that process of reporting actually invites a lot of really healthy discussions, again, both internally and externally, that make us both better as a company as well as better as a participant in a community of players in an industry and in a value chain.
Mm-hmm. So this sort of reminds me of the old adage, what gets measured gets managed.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the specific things that are your priorities in terms of materiality, in terms of what you're looking to measure and ultimately manage?
We started quite some time ago. Our first actually published report at Dell was back in 1998. It's actually still on our website. And in the early days, and where companies tend to start is in their operational footprint. So you measure the amount of energy you consume, the amount of waste you produce, and then you start expanding from there into upstream into your supply chain, downstream into your product use phase. For many organizations, actually, the biggest part of their life cycle impacts actually is when their product gets used. In our industry, also in electronics, the end of life of electronics has been a strong focus. So we've been actually at the forefront of that question for many years with a very significant electronics take-back and recycling program. So we measure all of that. We measure, how much our physical footprint is within our own operations. We look at similar impacts into the world of our suppliers. We look at the downstream impacts. And then more and more, of course, there's the social considerations. So we're very active in the electronics industry group, looking at things like labor practices in our supply chain, conditions of, for example, mining operations for the metals that go into electronics, those kinds of things.
That's a lot of stuff. When you're asked to make the business case for reporting at Dell, or perhaps in general, what's your answer to that question? How do you do that?
Well, for sure, a lot of the things that flow from a good report is opportunities for improvement. And certainly in the early days, we had a lot of easy wins. I mean, when you find typically waste in your operations, whether it's wasted energy, wasted materials, wasted anything, it's actually a poor use of your capital. So, typically once companies start measuring and reporting, what they find is a lot of opportunities to reduce, for example, energy is a great example. You could easily save millions of dollars a year just by being more conscious of how you use energy and doing things like anything from lighting retrofits to virtualizing your data centers, et cetera. So the business case comes both from how do you go reduce poor use of capital, which often also has some kind of negative impact on the environment, because again, waste in any form is inefficient by definition. But then more and more, the business case also is in the value creation. So in better understanding the positive impacts we can have through, for example, more intelligent deployments of technology, or the virtualization, like I said, of data centers, or helping our customers use technology to reduce the impacts of their operations. So the more we incorporate that into our broader sustainability portfolio, the more it makes sense to our core business.
Bruno, thanks very much for your time.
All right.